it's Madison. Welcome to House of Harmony. Oh man, today has been a day. I had 3 services I had to work at and went and saw an opera concert. I say opera concert because it was like 6 really small operas, but like anyways, it's been a long day, and now for some reason I am inspired to make this video because I need to talk about it. So here we go. Anyways, there is music playing because I don't really feel like talking right now, just in complete silence. So yeah, that's coming from the screen if you're wondering what that back noise is. So story time. Okay, so Wednesday, I was going to the studios on the T, and you know, I had some time to kill. I was kind of over listening to some of my French podcast stuff, and just wanted to kind of chill out. So I was sitting on the T, I was looking around at all of the people just, you know, doing the same thing I'm doing, trying to get to where they need to go, and we're all stuck in the same car, and it's going really slow. So I decided to do an open heart meditation slash visualization slash calling to all of the guides to help the people in the car basically receive the energy that's wanting to be received from their guides and the angels and all of the non-physical beings here that are helping us on our journey as humans. So anyways, I'm sitting on the metro, and I'm closing my eyes and opening them, and I'm just visualizing all of this energy just pouring into the car. And I'm feeling my heart just expand open, and you know, I'm really feeling the palpitations at this point as well, just from my consciousness being focused around my heart chakra, my heart center. So anyways, I'm feeling pretty fantastic. And a side note, I was actually planning on getting to work early to do a little bit of meditation, but I had left early, and then the metro actually showed up 20 minutes late anyway. So I was kind of like, well, there went that whole thing. So anyways, I'm on the car, I'm meditating, I am trying my best to just be in the present moment and feel for the love and the presence of all of the non-physical beings who are here, even though we can't really see them, and you know, help myself open and be a conduit of that loving energy for the people in the car. Go me, I guess, right? Okay, anyways, so I finally make it to work. So I walk in literally at 10 a.m. and everything's good and everything. And I have a meeting with my boss, usually first thing in the morning. But the boss shows up 20 minutes late. So I am a person who hates being late. And I am a very punctual person. And part of it comes from my own family. I've always been being people who, when something was at 7 o'clock, we were always there by 6:45. And also being a musician, if you're on time, you're late. And if you are late, you're fired. So it's a pretty instilled pet peeve of mine when I myself am running behind, or someone else that I expect to have a meeting or connection with is running behind. And it really tests my patience. I'm human. I mean, what am I gonna do? Okay, I can work on it. I'm trying, okay? Anyways, back to the story. My boss shows up late, and I'm not feeling too happy, and I'm very aware that I'm kind of annoyed by this because they are a person who is habitually late, habitually never on time, and they are very aware of this and they talk about it. But anyways, so we're in the meeting, and my boss is talking about this team development plan that she wants to do for our department meetings and everything. And I'm hearing some things that that are starting to trigger me, because I had been harboring a sense of burden when it comes to my own department that I kind of am the lead of, and the fact that what she wanted to do during department meetings was just going to put a lot more stress and work on my end, when everyone else was just going to essentially get paid to sit there and receive my ideas, or not input the same amount of energy and insight as I would be. So I had been harboring this feeling about my department for quite some time. And when it came to the point when my boss asked me, hey, so what do you feel about this? Okay. Knowing what I know about this universe and humanity and who we really are as beings, if you use the word feel or ask me how I feel, I'm going to tell you how I feel. So when my boss asked me, so how do you feel about this? I let it out. I said, I think it's unfair that I have to go through a department meeting where I feel that my counterpart in my own department is just basically going to sit there and not contribute nearly as much as I'm going to, because they don't have the ability to. And I'm very aware that this does not sound like a very loving thing to say, but I am owning how I feel. And this was a feeling that needed to come up, obviously, because the moment that she asked me and gave me that opportunity to express myself, that just came out. And so after that beautiful little response to her question, which she was completely thrown aback by, I also want to say that while I was giving this response, I was very aware that it was coming from an egotistic perspective, that I was separate from the other person, and that, you know, I felt alone and in this by myself, and that it was, you know, there was this game of unfairness and contribution. And, you know, as I was saying this, I was very aware as it was coming up that it was something that was not feeling good. Like, I didn't feel like, oh, I feel so much better just like saying that. As I was expressing how I felt, I was like, ugh, this is something I've been harboring. And as I'm saying it out loud and conjuring up the words to describe how I feel, it did not feel good. And so when I was finished, my boss, like I said, was very taken aback and didn't immediately responded. And I can't remember the exact words, but the immediate energy thrown back at my way was an energy of frustration and defensiveness. And as soon as I felt that wave come right at me, I wanted to crumble into pieces. I remember sitting there in the chair and just receiving her response, and she was asking questions such as, do you think you're doing all the work, or do you think this is a waste of time? And I'm responding, no, I don't think this is a waste of time. I definitely think it's, it's beneficial for me to do the work, and I want to do the work. So it became this battle of defensiveness and trying to understand each other and trying to communicate, but there was this barrier of immediate block. It was just a blockage. And anyways, as I'm trying to explain myself more and more, and she's asking like questions coming from a place of, I don't know, just not whatever it was, the words that was coming out, the energy attached to that, or the energy that was infused in that was so I know, I'm sorry, but I'm sitting there, and so the conversation continues, and she's talking about this stuff, and we're continuing to go on, and as I said, I'm sitting there, and I just immediately just drop to a place of just wanting to curl into a ball. And at a certain point, maybe like a minute and a half, 2 minutes later, she stops and she asks me, what's wrong? And I said nothing, because obviously there's something wrong, but I don't feel, open and willing to just go down that same road of expressing how I feel and then feel like I'm going to be smacked in the face with a defensive or a frustrative energy. And so I say nothing, and she responds. She was like, that's not true, I can feel it. She's like, the energy in the room is, she's like, that the energy of the room is saying something different. And immediately I just like, my eyes are starting to well up with tears, and I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, I'm not gonna freaking cry right now. Like, this is like, I'm gonna look like such a baby. Anyways, I cried. So as I'm expressing to her, I said, I don't normally share how I feel when you ask me about my opinions, because I understand we have a task at hand and we're not here to talk about every single emotion that pops up, and this is, your business, and I go along with the things that you want. But when I do choose to express something, it's not coming from a place of a whim or a fleeting, it's just a fleeting thing. It's something that needs to be expressed. And I'm saying this, and like, I'm tears, I'm not bawling, but like, there's no way I'm stopping, the tears and the red eyes and stuff. So it happened, and I expressed it, and I'm sitting there just still feeling like I'm crumbled into bits and pieces. And after I express myself, she responds saying, I'm sorry for my directness. And okay. Those were her exact words. This video is not about like blaming sides or anything, but I wanted to share this story for a particular reason. That is that I realized something about myself during that time. Because I had done this open heart meditation on the bus, when you open yourself up and you allow these chakras to expand, you are taking the step towards facing everything else that needs to be processed in a very visceral way. And what I mean by that is that when you decide to become aware of one aspect of yourself, you cannot fully expand without being aware of the other aspects of yourself. And that means the things or the emotions or the thoughts or the belief systems that you are harboring that may not be the most suitable for the type of person you want to become. So when you choose to bring to light the beautifulness of becoming whole, when you go within and make that, part of the journey, the flip side of the coin is that the other aspects of you are also the not so pretty things, or the not so great feeling aspects. And I know I could have just explained that much better, but we're gonna keep going. So basically, I had opened my heart chakra. I'd opened myself to receive and expand out and become aware of everything that was in my energetic field, the good and the bad. So when I was feeling the super high off of receiving the love and energy, the things that needed to be processed were very much present, I will say, very much present within my awareness. So when my boss walked in 20 minutes late, the feeling of being irritated was very present. I was very aware I was feeling this. It was very hard for me to kind of push it down. And when I had the opportunity, to express how I feel, when the topic at hand related to something that had been bubbling up or had been festering within myself, this harboring of feeling burdened or feeling not appreciated or being used or whatever, when that had the opportunity to be expressed, it had to be expressed. And then for me, being so open and so expansive and opening my heart during this time, when I felt or received that energy of defensiveness or combativeness or frustration, even though the other person, aka my boss, may not have meant it in that way, when you receive something like that, it becomes that much more present, that much more visceral to you, to my experience. When I, received this immediate sense of just wanting to crumble and crawl into a corner from feeling basically smacked in the face for expressing how I feel, regardless of how wrong or right it was. It hurt. It hurt. And I'm not putting the blame on anyone. I definitely don't blame my boss. I don't blame, myself. I can't. I don't regret anything that happened, because it was a lesson. It was something that I learned from. What I needed from my boss, who was sitting across from me, hearing me just like throw up this not great belief system and this not great feeling, or this not the highest perspective I could take on this. All I needed was her to receive it and to just listen and say, okay, I hear you. This is valid. That's all I needed. And after the morning and after that evening, after I went to sleep and woke up the next day and at 3:30 a.m. and drove to New York for auditions, realized that that's really the only thing anyone really needs. I think a lot of people are so scared to hear people's problems, because I think a lot of people expect themselves to come up with an immediate solution, or to be the knight in shining armor for the other person. And when they feel that they can't do that for another person, they immediately don't see a benefit for the other person, or do not see the benefit in expressing these things, when in actuality it's the complete opposite. I didn't need my boss to fix this. All I needed was for someone to sit across from me and for them to receive it, so I could have a way to express it and then become aware. Because as I mentioned, as I was expressing this belief that I had, or this feeling towards my counterpart in my department, I realized how unaligned it was with who I really am, and the truth of my abilities, and the reality, and who I really wanted to be, and how I really wanted to see the world. I realized that because of how I felt as I was expressing it. And that act itself, the experience itself, was the finish line, was it. That's all I needed. And so I wanted to share this with you, because I think there are times when we all come across people in our life, whether that's someone we love, whether it's someone we're in a relationship with, or our family, or our friends, someone we really care about, or even a stranger, that we all have this amazing opportunity to help one another become more self-aware of what's going on within ourselves. And it's the easiest thing, because what you have to do is nothing but be in the present moment and just receive it. Receive what they're expressing. You don't have to convince them of something else. You don't have to change your mind. You don't have to express your own opinion. All you have to do is receive it with compassion. And so what I want you to challenge yourself to is to first, when someone asks you, how are you doing? Be honest. Say, I feel really okay, or I feel really shitty. I feel really frustrated, or I feel really irritated. I feel really good. But take the opportunity to really express how you feel and why. Because in that expression, you are going to become much more aware of what's going on within you. And remember, you are really the only person who can actually, if you want to say, fix your problems or get yourself to a new perspective or a new belief system. The other person across from you isn't going to be able to do that, because ultimately it's your choice. But in order for you to make a choice, you have to be aware of what your choices are, starting with the one you've already chosen. And number two, what I challenge you to is to be that receiver for someone else, to be able to be present in the moment and ask someone, how are you feeling? Honestly, how are you really feeling? How do you feel? Not what are you thinking? How's it going? Oh, yada, yada, yada. Good, great, fantastic. Moving on. Be there. That's all you have to do, is be there and receive it and be open. You are not expected to solve other people's problems, because when you take on that burden for yourself, you are depriving them of the opportunity for them to step into their own empowerment, for them to step into their own awareness, for them to awaken to a new possibility of life, of their reality, a new way of looking at things. We all have choices to make. And here's the thing, you're helping someone much more when you just receive and allow them to do the processing themselves, rather than trying to be a knight in shining armor and doing it for them. So I really hope you are able to learn something from my experience. And this is the whole reason why I feel compelled to share these seemingly unimportant stories on the internet collective consciousness, because, you know, it's in the littlest of experiences you can have the most profound insight, the most profound lesson. And it would be a shame to not share that with other people, because hey, we're all here. We all have something unique and special to share with the world. And we can all do this by just honestly talking about how we feel. Anyways, thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please like it or subscribe or do whatever. Watch another video. I don't really care. I just hope that, you know, you're walking away with something new after this. So anyways, thank you again, and I love you.